gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August the 8th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And we have a rare treat this morning because Matt Shodell has been kicked out of his office, his home studio, and today he is coming to us live this morning from his bedroom. And I know that we have many visitors out there that have wanted to join Matt Shodell in his bedroom. So
what?
This morning,
Weird, dude.
You get the special treat. Matt in his bedroom. And Matt, nevertheless, we do have a lot to talk about, nothing of which has to do anything to do with your bedroom. So we're going to try to stay on point here this morning because we've had a couple days of practice. We've had Canes Fest. And you know what the most noticeable thing to me was at Canes Fest, other than getting to meet so many of our listeners and subscribers, and I always love doing that, and everybody that said hello, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you guys. The thing that really stood out to me was I didn't see any staff members at Canes Fest. I saw every player on the team out there signing autographs, Mario Cristobal holding court in one corner of the indoor practice facility. The staff was upstairs working, grinding, breaking down film, and evaluating those first couple practices. And now we are going to do the same, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that has been on our website the last couple days. And let me start with stories that we had after the first practice. None more unique, Matt, than our interview with Aaron Feld. We called it the man behind the magic curtain of Miami's offseason games. But that was just an absolutely fascinating content item interview piece that we had on the website this weekend. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, you know how they do like these tests to see if you're, I don't want to say if you're sane or not, but he would be right on the borderline, man. He speaks, to me, he speaks a different language. When you start talking about your conscious and your unconscious being within your body, it seems self-evident to me that that's the case, but apparently you need to verbalize that. And you watch the video of him, I guess, holding his breath for 10 seconds in the ice bath and then jumping up and pumping iron and screaming. I mean, there's something different about this guy, that's for sure. And you could call it crazy, insane, whatever. He's definitely crazy. Maybe some people would call him borderline insane, but you know what? That's okay, as long as they get the results. And the funny thing to me is they sent out, it's almost like they were messing with us. We were all, I've been asking for 2 weeks before the first day of fall practice, I asked the Miami Sports Information person for, I'll give him a shout out, Cam Gorby. Maybe that'll actually get me an interview one-on-one with Aaron Feld next time. But I asked for a fall roster. It shouldn't be that difficult of an ask. I said, when will the fall roster be ready? And he said, I guess the first day of fall camp. So I showed up for the first day of fall camp, which was it on Friday? It feels like it was 10 years ago already on Friday. And I got there an hour early because I had pre-set up an item full of the spring's numbers and last year's numbers for transfers. And I was going to type in every new number that we had, expecting every offensive lineman to have gained 15 pounds, every defensive lineman to have gained 10 pounds, every receiver to have toned up but still gained a few pounds. Same at corner. That's what I was expecting, when I compared the numbers. And I look at this roster in front of me and I think, oh boy, I start typing the numbers and Gary's helping read them to me because we didn't get it an hour early. I sat there for 40 minutes before they actually gave us
close to an hour to go through the whole roster. I mean, almost
had 2 hours to go through the whole roster. So I'm sitting in a chair in the middle of the HEC facilities, typing on my laptop in our administrative system. Gary's frantically reading me the heights and the weights so we can try to get them inputted before we go out to the practice field for the first fall practice, which of course you can't miss a second of that. And I'd say we finished with that with maybe a minute to spare. But as I was doing it, I'm thinking, wow, defensive linemen got an inch smaller, linebackers got an inch smaller, offensive lineman, lost 5 pounds. I'm thinking, are they messing with us? And look, then you move on to the first practice. You don't think much more about it until you look at the message boards later in the day, and people are saying, you put in the spring roster and you mixed up the fall roster with the spring, and why'd you do that? Everyone's shorter and lost weight. And they just don't care. I was talking to other reporters who said these are not accurate. Players literally told us these are not accurate, and they don't care. And I'm good with that. And for the media that were asking Aaron Feld, hey, who were your standouts? Hey, who really increased some numbers? And his response, look at the roster, 1 to 99. That's who increased. Look at the roster, 1 to 99. That's who stood out. Those were his answers. Yeah. For an insane person, those were good answers, And I got no problem with dealing with an insane, crazy, water breath holding in the ice water, yelling, jumping around, putting his head back and screaming, ah! Before every warm up, every warm up rep these people do, the players do. Listen, if the results are there, great. I don't care what the roster says. I don't care if the guy, if media members are mad at him because he didn't give them any information and sort of scolded a few of them in a way when they asked, is the team fast? Very fast. Well, how much faster than like an Oregon? Fast. Next question, Some reporters don't like those responses. Whatever, man. I got no problem as long as the team performs on the field the way they're supposed to. And I believe under Aaron Feld, they will. I believe in this guy. He's nuts, but I believe in him. So I can listen. Crazy people can call other people crazy. Just like if you're in a certain religion, you can sort of call other people in your religion, refer to them maybe in a way you can't if it was another religion, right? It's like that's the way it is with me and Aaron Feld. We're both a little nuts.
Yeah, I concur with that. But the thing is, it makes things difficult that you're a little nuts because it's difficult to run an operation like this. It's difficult to run a business with somebody that belongs in an institution like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So those moments,
hey, great reference.
Fantastic. Those moments they get trying at times. Yeah. Let's be honest.
You probably think it's a movie. It actually was a great book. I suggest you also read the book, Gary.
All right. But it gets kind of hard at times. But if you're going to have somebody crazy, like really crazy, to me, the weight room is the place to have it. Because let's be honest, what goes on in that room, and think about year round for the most part, other than during the season, they don't do a lot of strenuous stuff. But 9 months a year, they are grinding in there like there's no tomorrow. That's not the most fun part of being a football player. Let's be honest.
Being in a weight room is not for sane people. Being in any football lot, in any football weight room is not for the sane. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for anybody who thinks there's normalcy in life, period. No. And this is the guy who should be running it, quite honestly.
No. I mean, Matt hasn't spent a day of his life in a weight room, and neither have I, quite frankly. So we can relate to how it's not the most ideal thing that you think about doing all the time. I mean, I guess some people do, but the point I'm making is that when you have a guy like Aaron Feld running things in there with such a unique personality and so much energy and eccentricity to him, I think it makes a difference for a strength and conditioning program. And we talked about this the other day. Every offseason, we always talk about, the kids look bigger or whatever. They do legitimately, for the most part, look bigger if you can get past Romello Brinson's legs, okay? Which looked like they've become skinnier to me.
That's so weird.
I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Romello does not look like he spent 5 seconds in the weight room this offseason. And I'm not picking on Romello. Let's make that clear now.
Don't say you're not picking on Romello after you pick on him. It's okay to say.
Don't start bashing me in the YouTube comments,
Listen,
okay?
Let me just say something. It's okay to state facts. The fact is Romello Brinson's legs are the skinniest I've ever seen of a Miami receiver. That's a fact. And it's not bashing. That's just a fact. Like that, I agree with you on that, Gary. But don't then say not to bash him, because it is bashing a little bit.
I'm not bashing him. I look forward to our first interview opportunity with him because I want to know what the heck he did for the last 9 months. It does not look like he was in the weight room. He is the one guy in the team that looks to me like he was not in the weight room. So I'm just curious. I mean, there might be a legitimate reason. Maybe he had an injury that kept him from lifting weights. Who the heck knows? But anyway,
there was something going on there.
Yeah. So the team looks good for the most part, and I think it's a good thing to have somebody eccentric in the weight room like Aaron Feld. Okay, we spoke to Mario Cristobal. That story's on the website. I don't think we have to talk a lot about that. There was an update day one with Tyler Van Dyke. We've had tons of video. Like Matt said, we also have the updated roster for you guys on the website for you guys to check out. So practice one, was pretty routine. Guys getting back into it. We saw a lot of drop balls, a lot of rusty looking play, because there's a difference, Matt, from 7-on-7 workouts and now going out there for the first day of fall practice where everybody's a little bit on edge. You got a lot of guys competing for playing time and jobs. It's just different, I think you would agree, than the 7-on-7 workouts over the previous several months.
No, I don't agree, because you and I both covered this team when they were great. Those were not what the great first practices look like for teams that won championships. But this is not a championship team yet, and that's okay. But to say it's okay, it's day one, no, that's not okay. This is not what it should look like on day one, but it's a process. And this is what I keep telling everyone out there. It's not like Mario Cristobal and the staff came in and everything magically turned into championships and rose parades or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's 60% the same team that he inherited from the previous regime, which didn't do real well, obviously, wasn't recruited real well, obviously, for the most part. And the other players, he brought in a dozen players that he was forced to bring in the transfer portal, some of whom, in a perfect world, he probably would not have taken, except for the fact that he was freaked out by the fact that, oh my gosh, this roster is not anywhere near what I want it to be. Let's just bring in some bodies to compete, and maybe something will happen and we'll strike gold. And, that's what he did. That's where this program's at. And this is not where it will be. I expect within the next year or two, we're going to be talking about a first practice that was crisply run with players who understood the offensive system and defensive system and didn't only have 4 offensive installs put in for practice one. It should be the guys who are coming back know everything so well and are such a high level that really it's just the freshmen who are getting coached, by the coordinators or the position coaches or whatever. Those are the ones who are going to have to be a lot slower. When you teach a math class, and this makes me crazy, if you teach a math class in public school and you have 35 kids in the class and one teacher, that teacher is forced to teach to the child or person who is the slowest. You can't leave them behind. But when you're in a program like this, what they're doing right now, this fall, is teaching to the slowest, because they're assuming everybody is slow right now because it's all new coaches, all new systems. 12 new transfers, most of who came in this summer, ton of new arrivals. And even the returning players have a whole new system to learn, a whole new playbook to learn. So they're teaching to the lowest, slowest, whatever you want to call it, person, just like in that math class in a public school with one teacher. But it's not going to be like this next year when everyone who's returning understands it. That's when you take the kids who are slow to a different classroom and you teach them, hey, you're not slowing down everybody else. This is how you do whatever. And when they're ready, then they join the rest of the group. Like, that's what they're going to be at, but they're not there yet. This is why this season, I mean, if they can win 9 or 10 games, it's great. But fans who are thinking, oh, we're going to beat Clemson, oh, we're going to beat Texas A&M, like, I don't think they're there yet. Call me a Debbie Downer. I guess I'm like Aaron Feld. I'm just a lunatic, a crazy person who thinks they might lose a game or two because they're not ready yet.
I don't think you're too far out there on that regard. I don't think the coaches are looking at it as desperately as you are. I think for the impression I've gotten is that they're okay with the way the first 2 days went. They feel like they're making progress. The team's playing a little bit more physical at the line of scrimmage, yada, yada, yada. But, no, you don't want to say that they're ready to go win at Clemson yet, because they're probably not. But they might be by November. We're going to find out and see how they progress. All right, so we finished day one and we move on to day two, Matt. And I thought day two looked a little bit smoother than day one. I mean, we're out there shooting. We get to see like the first maybe 35 minutes of practice, and we're out there shooting like maniacs for you guys. I hope you're going to our, you're seeing our links on the website every day, and they're all on our YouTube channel. And we're out there loading you guys up with video just so you can get a glimpse of the players, see what they look like, get an idea what's going on. When the hardcore nitty-gritty of practice starts, we're not allowed to be out there filming for obvious reasons. They are getting ready to play football games. But the access has been good the first couple days, and we've been able to bring you a ton of video. And, of course, that's on the website. But, Matt, getting back to what I was saying, I thought day 2 looked a little bit smoother than day 1. I didn't see as many drops. I didn't see as much sloppiness out there in the drills and things like that. It seemed like it was getting a little bit better, improved from day 1.
Look, just to keep it real, you can't see a lot. They're in shorts, and like Gary said, we're watching the first 4 periods, the first half hour. They're not doing any team stuff. I see depth charts out there. They're just talking about people who lined up first in a drill. I mean, that's how they're getting depth charts. It means nothing. They're constantly moving around who's lining up first. It's just whoever ran fastest gets to line up first, you know? But the thing for me is, you know, Gary and I talk to people who are either in the program, close to the program, whatever. We're allowed to do that, and we do that. And that's sort of how you really glean what's going on. And there are some troubling things you hear. There's some very good things you hear. For instance, I heard a lot. The defense apparently looks really, really good these first couple of practices. What Kevin Steele's doing on defense is paying dividends, which I love, because to me, you always want the defense ahead of the offense. I think that's, you know, you always say defenses win championships. I'm not sure that's true anymore, but it certainly helps to have a really good defense. So to hear that they're confusing even Tyler Van Dyke, and that they're making plays and they're moving and they're motioning and they're really understanding what to do on defense, that's huge to me. Like, that's huge, because this defense was so bad last year and not good the year before either, honestly, from what it should have been. And so very encouraged by that. But then you hear, well, day 1, there was the receivers alone dropped 10 balls, and, you know, Jaleel Skinner dropped several balls. And, you know, I don't know if that was day 1 jitters or not. It's not what you want. And day 1 jitters, people could say, okay, day 1 jitters, no problem, they'll figure it out. But if you have day 1 jitters, what about game 1, which, by the way, is Texas A&M? That's game 1. The ones before that, no, everybody knows that's a joke. So what about game 1 jitters? Texas A&M jitters. You cannot
going into College Station. It's one of the toughest places
to play. But if they had jitters on day 1 of practice, if you have jitters on day 1 of practice, where you're dropping 10 balls, you can't drop 1 ball if you're going to beat Texas A&M. I don't like hearing that. You know, they have a great quarterback. They have really good running backs. They have a decent enough offensive line, but the receivers have to make plays, man. That's the missing element we've been talking about. So to hear that on day 1 is discouraging. And then, you know, day 2, they look better. Burchard, for instance, looked, you know, very shaky on day 1, looked much better on day 2. But you just go back to day 1 and you wonder, well, what's going to happen when it basically is game 1? Are those jitters going to reappear where they can't hold on to the damn ball? It was a little disheartening. So, you know, I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. I'm just telling you guys the information. That's the information that I got. I don't know what to do with it yet to process it. I haven't figured out if it means anything for the actual game 1, the real game 1. Or not. You guys out there can figure that out, but we'll keep watching practice, keep telling you what we're hearing from people around practice, and that's pretty much our jobs. So, you know, I'm not too much of a talking head when it comes to that, other than just giving you the info.
It's way too soon to worry about the Texas A&M game. There's so much that's going to take place.
It's never too soon.
No, it's too soon. You got a whole fall camp. You got a couple games to iron out some kinks. I know the competition's not going to be very good.
Can I tell you why it's never? This whole camp is about Texas A&M, Gary. And you know why? If they get crushed by Texas A&M, that commitment list that they've worked so hard to build will be whittled away by every coach who wants those kids knocking on that 40-point loss, man. You can't look how different they are. They can't play with anybody. They can't afford to not have a good game at Texas A&M. They can't. And if every practice isn't geared towards being ready for Texas A&M, Gary, I just disagree with you.
No, I agree. They need to play well. They need to be competitive. There's no doubt about it. All right. So the other thing that we did after practice number 2 is we spoke to Kevin Steele. And the biggest thing that came out of that conversation, I think, Matt, was that he wants 6 guys at the line of scrimmage at both defensive tackle and defensive end, really, that he could be rotating guys left and right at those spots up front. He wants fresh bodies in the game. Do you think they have the depth to pull that off?
Well, let me start with this. Kevin Steele should never be allowed to do group interview again, because somebody posted video, I guess, I don't know who posted it, but there was a video out there of the interview with Kevin Steele from Media Day, right? Where I got a nice one-on-one after all these other reporters were talking to him. And, you know, people on our website were like, who was that reporter asking those ridiculous questions for the first 10 minutes? Which I agree, there was nothing on there I used for the first 10 minutes. But as soon as everybody disappears and you stick around, it was gold. And you could see that from the interview that we got. And Gary, you even referenced it. You said to him before the interview started, like, hey, Kevin, I hope you're as good today as you were on Tuesday, you know?
I did. He was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable on Tuesday, one-on-one, or it was he and another person at one point, but basically one-on-one for part of it. And then the group comes again, and he just sort of shuts down. And the only nugget you really get was what he already had said, which he wants to use. He had told us up to 8 starters. He said 6 now, whatever. But do they have the depth for it? Yes and no, because we don't know yet. But they did bring in some transfers. I'm a big Jacob Lichtenstein fan. I think he'll be a huge athletic help at tackle who knows what he's doing. I think he's a 6-year senior. How could he not be decent at least? I think Darrell Jackson, you look at that guy. Teams that want to run on Miami, you just put that guy at tackle, man. He'll hold his ground and will not be pushed back, period. He's not going to get after the quarterback. You could see last year at Maryland, he had like 1 tackle for loss and played a lot of reps. But he's not a guy you're going to be able to run on, okay, which is huge. And then you add the other guys in, and maybe even a Messidor can move inside him, and the guy's 275 pounds. When's the last time Miami had an end that was 6'3" or 6'4" and 275? They usually say he's a tackle. I fully expect him inside on third downs and passing situations. And so right there, and Leonard Taylor and Jared Harrison. So right there, you got a huge rotation at tackle of good enough guys. Then you got Aguda at one of the end spots. You got, Jafari Harvey and Chance Williams are okay. I know you're a big Jafari fan. I believe.
No, I like Jafari a lot. I have never seen anything from him on the football field to suggest that he's a first-team defensive end.
Right.
So he's got to prove it. I mean, look, they took him to media day. He got a lot of kudos in spring practice. He's got to put it all together here. He's a veteran guy, but I want to see it. I mean, if Agoud and Messidor are the best 2 guys to be out there, then they need to be out there. If Nigel Lee Kelly is a better pass rusher than Jafari Harvey, then he's got to be on the field. These are the things they're going to have to work through in fall camp. So I'm not a fan of anybody. I want to see.
Well, and I'm still a big fan of Kevin Steele and and of Josh Gaddis working in conjunction to the point where I'm hoping, if it really is a situation where they only have 2 good ends, instead of this hurry up, the Rhett Lashley offense, right, where you're going to get 80 reps on your defense, especially against another hurry up team, like that's just going to happen. And now you're talking about 30% of the time or more, you have backups on the field on defense at end and other positions. With Josh Gaddis being more of a 50-50 run pass guy and not the hurry up guy, he can run some clock. He can have some 5, 6, 7, even 8-minute drives that will allow these defensive ends, if they're not deep, to maybe play 80 or 90% of the reps in certain games. That's huge because you don't want, I know you're raising your eyebrows, but if there's only 60, 65 reps in a game, if it's one of these plotting pace games on both sides of the ball.
It's usually more than that.
Usually. In modern day football, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, they could play a lot more reps percentage-wise than in the Josh Gaddis offense. There's no doubt in my mind. Period. I mean, it's just math, So
the Rhett Lashley offense, you mean?
Sorry, the Rhett Lashley offense, yes.
Yeah. All right, so there are so many stories on the website, honestly, from the last few days. We're not going to talk about every single one of them, but make sure you guys use there's a link on the website that says All Football. And if you haven't been on the site a lot through the weekend, just make sure that you use that link and you'll be able to see everything. It says View All Football. It's right under the main block of stories in the middle column of our front page. And there's so many of them. I mean, Matt, we'll touch on a few of them here right now. One of them would certainly be Gil Frierson, and he talks a little bit about the impact that he expects to make at the star position, where I think we found out that he's getting the majority of the reps, Matt. And so it looks like the coaches are all in with Gil Frierson at the star, and he's lining up in a lot of different places.
Yeah, they did some walkthrough type stuff during our viewing period, and they were rotating. James Williams was a safety, Brian Ballin was a safety, Avante Williams was a safety. They did it just on one side, like pretending it was just basically the strong side of the field. And they were constantly moving the corners in and out and constantly moving the safeties in and out. And the one player who stayed for every single rep was Gil Frierson, moving all over the place. So I think they trust him to understand what to do, where to line up, and they're putting him, quite frankly, on the line of scrimmage. Looks at linebacker also. He's going to be sort of that guy they hope can maybe be a blitzer off the edge, or a blitzer in the box, I should say, not off the edge, a blitzer in the box, or cover, drop back in coverage, maybe get some interceptions by being where a quarterback doesn't think he's going to wind up dropping into that space, that sort of thing. Because remember, he came in, I think he was a cornerback when he came in, or a safety. I think corner, though. So he's got those skills. And he's moved around. He's been striker. He's been, I think he was at either will or strong side. He's been obviously a cornerback. He's sort of seen and done it all. And I think they really think that he's somebody that they can look to. Now, will he get it done? I don't know. He hasn't really done a lot to this point. You know, he grades out fairly average on Pro Football Focus for those people that believe in that. But I think Kevin Steele sees somebody he can rely on, somebody with coverage skills who's big and strong and can run. And you can do something with a guy like that who's a veteran that knows what he's doing.
All right, let's take a break real quick here and hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
Hey Morgan, what are you gonna do?
I have to go to practice.
Me too.
Well, don't forget your Life Wallet.
Oh my gosh, I always forget my Life Wallet.
You forget everything.
I can't go anywhere without my Life Wallet.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
All right, so let me just go through some of these other stories that are on the site, Matt. And we'll one I thought was interesting was Ja'Kai Clark, who did not rule out. He conceded that he's battling to hold on to his starting job, and did not even totally rule out finally getting that redshirt year that he's been trying to get to build his body and focus totally on building his body. I have not asked Alex Mirabal to this point if that is in the cards, but Ja'Kai seemed to think it was not totally out of the question. But it always seems to play out that Ja'Kai Clark ends up having to play, and that has kept him, of all the O-linemen, Matt, I would say he probably has the least college football ready body right now, but he does play center where you don't have to be the biggest guy. But I still think, and I know I said this a year ago, I would love to see him get that redshirt year, because I think when you combine his good technique and skills that he has, if he could just get bigger and more physical to be able to withstand the 330-pound tackles a little bit better, that it would be good for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that you want to have a physical, athletic center. The issue here, they tried Lawrence Seymour in the spring as actually the starting center in some situations, and he just wound up getting passed by Ryan Rodriguez, who did okay, and then Ryan Rodriguez is now Ryan Rodriguez is out for the year. So Seymour does not have the coach's trust. Ryan Rodriguez is out. The only other guy here is John Dennis, who is an Oregon transfer who was a backup who's been injured from there. And, you know, is John Dennis more physical than Ja'Kai Clark? Yeah, but so are most of the guys.
Polo can go inside too if they need him to.
Yeah, but that's not really his position. You know, he's not a center. He's a guard who can play center. You really want a pure center. I don't, you know, I don't know if Corey Gaynor, if he had, not that he should have stayed or could have stayed, but you know, I think that would have at least been better if he'd been here instead of North Carolina. You know,
yeah, he bailed kind of quick. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was super weird. Weird. So look, I don't know that they have a choice. I think he's going to wind up being the starting center, and they're just going to have to deal with him not being that physical. It is what it is.
All right, so we have a story with Jared Harrison Hunt, who has increased his weight room numbers. He's added muscle, and he's hoping, obviously, to be a primary fixture in that defensive tackle rotation. We have a story with Jalen Rivers, who's made crazy gains in the weight room and looks the part. I mean, he looks spectacular, Matt. And, you know, so we talked to him a little bit about the intensity change in the offensive line room and the culture. And I'm expecting Jalen Rivers to have a huge, huge year this year without question. We talked to Logan Sagapulo about turning his strength in the weight room with Aaron Feld into football skills and being a people mover in the Josh Gaddis offense. That's a real interesting story. We talked to Isaiah Horton, a freshman receiver trying to make a big splash in year one. Wayman Sneed, who's trying to hang in there. He's had a rough up and down time so far at Miami. He's trying to hang in there and be one of the answers at what everybody knows is a very challenged linebacker position. We talked to Henry Parrish, who thinks that this Miami backfield with him and Jalen Knighton and Don Chaney and Trevante Citizen and Thad Franklin, also I guess you could throw in there, is going to be one of the best groups in the country. And we'll see if they get some good blocking up front. You never know. they might be.
And he's talking again. He's talking again today after practice, by the way, with Knighton. So that'll be interesting to see what those two guys say about how these first 3 days are gone.
Yep, no doubt. All right, so we also have some recruiting coverage, obviously, on the site. A lot of that. Miami got its center of the future in Connor Liu, so we've got lots of coverage of him. And Matt, his coach.
Oh my God! What a great interview.
Yeah, his coach just can't rave enough about that kid.
I love the comparison. You know, the coach described Connor Liu to me, and I said that sounds like Casey Jones. So then I described Casey Jones to the coach, and Casey Jones is the guy who at the bottom of the pile would bite a defender on the ankle like that. He actually did that. I'm pretty sure. Casey, I don't think Casey told me, but one of his teammates told me he literally bit a defensive player under a pile. Like that, he would do anything. Casey Jones would do anything to win the reps. Period.
Yeah.
And this, after that, he said, yeah, that's Connor Liu. He said when Connor Liu loses a rep, the next rep he looks to get revenge. Now I didn't ask what revenge means, but I'm guessing it's biting guys on the ankle.
All right, and we've got some other recruiting stories on the website as well. You'll see them. There was one on Antoine Jackson, Action Jackson from Miami Dillard that I thought was particularly good, and there's several others. We just have so much content at so many different levels right now, so we can't talk about every story. But hopefully, you guys are enjoying our coverage, and we're trying to amp it up and take it to another level. Hopefully, you think that we're successful. All right. Well, Matt Shodell's wife would like to get back in the bedroom, so we're gonna call it a wrap here for this morning. We've got to head out to practice momentarily. So thank you so much for starting your day out with us. Thank you to everybody that I met at Canes Fest. So many of you watch our show every day, and we really appreciate that you do start your day out with us. Hopefully everybody by now is getting to our website. Things are going well there, but we really want to unite the entire fan base at CaneSport.com. We were able to negotiate this $1 subscription price for year one with On3 as part of our move from Rivals to On3. And I really want to see everybody take advantage of that and come be part of our community. And hopefully you'll stick around for many, many years. But we think you'll like what you find there if you aren't already on our website. So do that. Subscribe to this channel. It helps us with YouTube. Hit your like button. That improves things with the algorithms and things like that. It all matters. Thank you for your support. And for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We're going to head out to practice. Make sure you're on the website later for that coverage. And we'll see you on this show again tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.